Alright everybody, welcome back to another Dead by Daylight video. So we got an update on... I cannot believe I'm saying this. We got an update on the patch coming with the anniversary. Now we still don't know specifics because I'm going to get into one change and probably the thing I'm going to talk about for the longest. But we still don't know specifics as far as what else is being added in. We don't know if we're getting a new map, which I think we are because of the D&D thing. We don't know any of that. But... the big one that I'm sure everyone is excited / terrified about and wants my opinion on, because somehow people care about it. Chucky got nerfed. He got both nerfed and buffed. So let's get into this, okay? Before I give my thoughts and explanations on this. Decreased Hidey-Ho cooldown to 12 seconds was 18, so they almost cut that in half. Now, it should be noted that Chucky's cooldown is actually different from every other killer in the game, from what I believe. I think there's a few exceptions, but the cooldown for Slice and Dice, Hidey-Ho doesn't actually start until, or starts the moment the dash starts, not when it ends. So technically speaking, the cooldown was never 18 seconds. It was actually about 16 seconds. So with this, the cooldown at a max range Slice and Dice goes down to 10 seconds. So every 10 seconds, you can just use this. Now, before anyone goes crying to the wolves that sounds OP with Scamper, well, Chucky can only scamper while performing a Slice and Dice. So, I have talked about nerfing Scamper before many times. I want it nerfed. Even as a Chucky player, I've wanted it nerfed for a very long time. I think most people who have a brain wanted it nerfed. This wasn't the way I wanted it nerfed. I wanted to turn it more into a utility tool rather than a chase tool. However, I will take this. I think this is fine and healthier for the game in so many ways. I've heard some people say it means that his anti-loop is gone. This isn't completely true. And I've heard some people say this basically guts the character. This also isn't true at all. This does not gut the character. I don't want to say most, but a lot of Chucky mains barely scampered anyways. A lot of times it actually isn't the best thing to do. Yes, it guarantees a hit, but a lot of times it takes longer. The only time this scamper was like a guaranteed hit is maybe at a god palette, but yeah. But you can also still scamper through windows. That should be noted. So I think people are going to start using scamper through windows a lot more, and I think bamboozle and brutal strength. Brutal strength is another big thing here. Since you can't manually scamper under a pallet anymore, Chucky can break pallets while in Hidey-Ho mode. That is something he was not able to do before. This seems like such a small thing, but this could actually have amazing consequences. There are a lot of situations where on maps like RPD, I won't break pallets and I will scamper, and I will come back to that area later and be like, damn, I should have broken this pallet, and I didn't. Does that mean that this makes him better? No, there's just going to be situations where this might actually help him out more. The decreased time doesn't really matter. It's 0.1 second. It makes a difference, but not too much. The two big things here is I'm curious about add-on changes because they didn't mention them from what I can tell here. But Hard Hat, if it stays exactly the same as it is now, is basically useless. Running Shoes would need a buff after this because, once again, basically useless. And Yardstick would need a change as well because all three of them require scampers, and all three of them were mostly used on pallets. Not all the time. Hard Hat was, of course, because it broke the pallet. And I'm curious if that means we're going to get adjustments to his other add-ons. Particularly Rat Poison, Power Drill, and Jump Rope, as they're probably his three most used add-ons. So I'm curious if Behavior thinks they need to nerf them or not. We'll see. But I do not think this kills the character. Does it make him weaker? Yes. I think he is no longer in the top 5 because of this. I think this lowers him down to maybe top 10. Because his ability to hide, chuck spots, some hits you can get with Slice and Dice at certain loops. He's no longer the king of Shack, but he's still pretty good at doing it. But I do think it needs to be noted that the most powerful thing in his kit, in my opinion, wasn't touched, and that is his third-person camera. Scamper can get you hits, but the third-person camera can win you games. I don't care what anyone says. This also puts a hamper in my Chucky guide, which was going to start getting made next week. Or it's already been written a little bit, but it was going to start getting officially made next week. Fuck me, I guess. All right. But no, before anyone freaks out, I've talked to a couple other Chucky mains. This does not kill Chucky, in the slightest. It doesn't. He's going to be a little harder to play, and you're going to have to utilize sliding and the proper flicking and windows more with him, rather than just run up to pallet, me press 4, me press power button, me press spacebar. There's going to be a little bit more to it. I do not think this absolutely guts him. I think it puts him in a spot where he is now buffable. I know Pixel Bush has said that before about Skull Merchant after her rework. That's basically what I'm saying here. It puts him in a spot where he is now buffable. We can now adjust numbers and actually see what we can do with it. On top of that, please rework Mirror Shards and Hard Hat and all of his other bad add-ons, please. With the Chucky stuff out of the way, there's the first 6 minutes of this. Cannibal. Increased chainsaw sweep duration to 2.5 seconds per token. Cool, they're making Chili's base kit. That's cool. Increased movement speed from the chainsaw sweep. Cool. Decreased collision. Cool. Decreased base tantrum to 3 seconds was 5. Cool. Several add-ons have been adjusted accordingly. See, this is why this scares me with Chucky, by the way, because they specifically call out add-ons have been adjusted accordingly. They didn't say that for Chucky. So, I don't know. I don't know what to think. I swear to God, if they keep Hard Hat exactly how it is, it's... fuck. Cannibal changes are nice. A lot of these are basically just taking some of the add-ons people usually use and just putting them into base kit, which is always a good thing and honestly makes you wonder what the point of the add-ons are in the first place. Deathslinger. Decreased stun time when a survivor breaks free to 2.7 seconds was 3 seconds. Good. Increased real speed to 2.76 was 2.6, a little bit faster. That means the long-range ones are more rewarding and more of a guaranteed hit. So good. Increased movement speed while reloading to 3.8 meters was 2.6. That is a massive one. That means reloading in chase actually isn't almost never a bad idea. Wesker. Decreased hindered penalty from infection to 4% was 8%. I actually thought it was 4% this whole time. Huh. Okay. Infection is now reduced to 1% when hooked was 50. Honestly speaking, man, I don't know why they don't just make it so it doesn't, like, the infection just goes away when you're hooked. Like, Singularity uses his slipstreams when you get hooked. Like, does Wesker really need that? Like, it's a good change, don't get me wrong, but, yeah. Blight. Compound 33 now increased rush turn rate and duration by 11% was 33. Alright. Increased iridescent blight tag. Now increased rush speed by 10% was 20. Alright. Nerfs to blight. I don't know. I love how we went from them never touching blight to him in every single patch now. I'm not like shitting on it or anything. I just think it's funny. Oh man, that's yeah. This change scares me. The Toolbox change scares me. And I'll tell you why in a minute. But increased Toolbox sabotage speed across most variants. This is worded weirdly. So increased it. That means that it's faster. This is why I hate how increase and decrease works with double negatives, whatever. Anyways, they increased it. It means it's faster, not slower. Because when I first read this, I thought it made them slower. Because I was like, oh, you increase the time it takes. Oh, okay. No, it decreased the time it takes. Increase the actual speed. Which, yeah. But I don't know how I feel about sabotaging becoming a thing, right? I don't know. I don't mind sabotaging being a thing. It's just I've said it before. I think if saboing becomes meta, this game is going to become miserable. It's just a me thing. Who knows? Deadlocked. They cut 5 seconds off of it. I have talked in the past how I think Deadlocked is too reliable. It always works. It always does its job, and the killer literally doesn't have to do anything. I think 5 seconds off is fine considering what it does. I think my suggestion was 20, but I think 25 is fine. Background player. So all those people in my video a few days ago talking about how they shouldn't do anything to exhaustion perks and they're just fine. Where are you now? Background player. Decreased movement speed to 150%. Decreased exhaustion duration to 20 was 40. So, once again, behavior showing that they're willing to change up exhaustion perk cooldowns. Just saying that right now. Because this is the second perk they've done it to. Because it's a more situational one. Decrease the movement speed to 150%. So they cut 50% off the movement speed. That doesn't seem like that much, but that is going to be huge. And I think it's going to mean that you can't sit like... I want to do the math in my head. I'm sure someone has. I'm curious what the max range of 200% movement speed run with background player was. Because if this means that they still have to be within 32 meters to get the effect for the flashlight save, I think this is fine. Because this means if you really don't like background player, you can run infectious fright and things like that to kind of compensate for it. It also means background player might be used more for sabotaging. Case in point for the toolboxes, which scares the living shit out of me, but it is what it is. Interesting change, though. Grim Embrace. Decrease the block duration to 10 seconds was 12. I really don't think this is going to make any difference, but cool. Decisive Strike. Reduce the stun duration to 4 seconds was 5. I think 5 was fine, but 4, all right. Pop Goes the Weasel. Decreased regression effect to 20% was 30. I'm fine with this. I said in the video for my wishes for this was they do something crazy, and I think nerfing Pop is something that's crazy. It's not too big of a nerf. 10% times, in theory, let's be honest with ourselves. 10% times 10, that's 100%. So you're basically knocking off a gen, which is fine. Well, actually, the math works out a little differently because it's 10 of the current. Whatever. Anyways, it's a fine change. I think it's okay. Did Pop need it? Probably not. But whatever. It is what it is. Buckle Up. Removed. Buckle Up no longer provides endurance. New. Survivors healed from the dying state break into a sprint at 150% movement speed for 5 seconds. This does not cause exhaustion. So this means that this perk is no longer a get out of jail free card. I heard some people saying, well, this just means Buckle Up does the same thing. No, because if they run up, let's say they're using For the People Buckle Up now. If they run up and do that, the person who just For the People them doesn't get the movement speed. So that means that the person who healed them is still right there and injured, so you can just down them now. So it doesn't necessarily... This is actually... I didn't even think about this. This is probably a decent anti-tunnel perk now. In combination with For the People. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, this is actually a decent anti-tunnel perk now because they can get on the ground. Your friend who's fully healed and hasn't been hooked yet can run over, For the People Buckle Up you, and then you can just zoom the fuck out of there while they down you. And then this doesn't cause exhaustion. So then you can, like, if you have Sprint Burst, once this is over, then you can Sprint Burst away. You're just gone. Yeah, I think this is actually a good change. I like this. Pain Res decreased the regression effect to 20% was 25. Did it need it? No. Is it fine? Yeah, pretty much. Waving Spiders. Okay. Before I get into the number changes, I think Weaving Spiders is actually good now. I don't think it's metal, but I think it's good now. Decrease the invocation time to 60 was 120. They cut that shit in half. In half. And that's not even counting if you combine it with somebody else. Invocation progress now regressed at a rate... Wait. Yeah, it regresses at 1 charge per second rather than 20. So instead of you losing... So it was 120 seconds, right? So the moment you got off of it, you would start losing 20 of those seconds every second. So it would be gone in like 5 seconds or so. I did the math wrong on that. I don't care. Now, it loses 1 second per second. Which means that if you were doing it for 30 and you step off for 10 and come back, now it's still at 20. Which is just a good change. Honestly, like, if they made... personally, I think it should be 80 seconds and then keep this change. But, you know, we'll see where it goes with 60. If Invocation becomes meta, I really don't care. I think it is different, and that's what's important. Borgo, it's no longer red. Huzzah. It should have always been like that. Item previews, good for new players. And that's really it. It's the whole patch. You know, apart from the newer stuff. My thing with this that I do want to bring in is the Chucky changes as a Chucky player. That was the big reasons I even wanted to do this, because as most of you know, my PC is still messing up, so doing this was a little bit more annoying. But I've had a few hours to think about this. I don't think this guts him completely. I think it knocks him down the tier list for sure. I don't think he's as strong as he was. And I would love Flicks to come back. But as a starting point, I think getting rid of manual scampering was the way to go. I might get some hate from Chucky players for that. As a Chucky main, respectfully, it's what I think. Scamper just isn't healthy for the game. At least palette scampering wasn't. So we'll see where this goes. I would love to see the add-on adjustments and things like that, if there are any. They didn't mention them. If there's none, then, I mean, they were already basically all useless add-ons anyways, but I would love to see them get some kind of use. In any case, tell me what you guys think of the patch and all that. I love y'all. Have a good one, and bye.